Good evening, Mishram sir. So should we start the program or should we wait for another few minutes?
Let 15-20 people join.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Only 12 people have joined. Say another 5 minutes.
Hello. Hello.
Good evening, Sani sir.
Very good evening. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you, sir?
Fine. Thank you. Thank you so much. Namaskar, sir. Kapoor साहब.
Namaste, sir. Namaste.
ठीक.
We will start after 5 minutes because lots of people are joining. So once it's around 30-35, we can start.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Fine, sir. Thank you. So should we start the program?
Yeah, Dr. Sarika, you can start.
Honorable Dr. D.S. Meshram, sir, President, ITPI New Delhi. Ms. Usha Prasad Mahavir, Chairperson, ITPI Women's Forum, and Ms. Reena Singh, former Additional Advocate General, Uttar Pradesh and Advocate Supreme Court, and today's key speaker, Dr. N. Usha, Additional Secretary, HNUT Department and Member and Chief Planner, and today's key speaker, Shri Pradeep Kapoor, sir, Secretary General, ITPI, distinguished guests and invitees, members of Institute of Town Planners, and dear participants. A very warm good evening to one and all here. I request all the participants and attendees to keep their device in the mute mode. It is indeed a great pleasure to welcome you all. I, Sarika Bahadure, Secretary, ITPI Women's Forum, on behalf of Institute of Town Planners, welcome you all on the occasion of International Women's Day. Women play a vital role in the success of any society and culture. Women constitutes 50% of the human resources. They have sustained the growth and the civilization, played a major role in the society's development, and molded the future of nations. In 75 years of India's independence, we had come a long way from where women were expected to be only wives or mother to now where women have education, career, and independence. In recent years, the situation is changing and women are emerging as a source of power and symbol of progress. Despite this, their role is underplayed and they face disparity. Diversity and inclusiveness are the key aspects of planning. The extensive participation of women in various planning sectors will touch the unexplored perspective. Urban planning as a profession is very challenging, but also an opportunist one. Whenever one wants to recall the names of urban planner, only men are recollected, as the presence of women in the profession is like a drop of water in an ocean. In recent years, Institute of Town Planners India has actively involved women in the mainstream as a resource persons, such as chairperson, rapporteur, speakers at various forums like webinars, national and international conferences, various committees, and so on. ITPI has opened a Pandora box and provided inspiration for women entering the planning profession, academics, and research, and is continuously helping them to make their way in leadership. Today, a number of women are involved in urban planning profession as policymakers, planners, designers, economists, social activities, researchers, academicians, and so on. And they are successfully contributing and transforming the profession. The confidence and hard work can make them great leaders. This year, India is celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to commemorate 75 years of independence. This is the ideal occasion to deliberate where we stand after 75 years and how planning provided an opportunity to women. Thus, we all have assembled here to have more learning on the theme, that is, India at 75, achieving the gender equity through planning interventions. Dear participants, I take this opportunity to introduce the Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, Professor Dr. D.S. Mishra, President, ITPI New Delhi. He is known to us for his wisdom and his knowledge. He did 2 bachelor's degrees, one in arts and another in architecture. Similarly, he did 2 post-graduation degrees, one in town and country planning and other in LLB. He completed his PhD at the age of 72 years. He had dealt with multiple prestigious positions. And to introduce more about Meshram sir is like a never-ending task. So I just stop here, the introduction, and to start off with today's program, And to extend a further word of welcome to everyone here this evening, I invite Professor Dr. D.S. Meshram, sir, Resident ITPI, to provide the background of the program.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, your
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You are
Yes, sir.
audible, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I am sorry there is some problem with my laptop because this email is not working. So I am just on the phone. Sorry for the disturbance. Well, on this occasion of the International Women's Day, last year we have invited, while we celebrating the International Women's Day 2021, the women planners working in the planning profession and whatever challenges they have faced at the time of their working in the planning departments. And then we have invited the 15 town planners, those who are working, all of them were the women, and the excellent views were received. So I would just like to read that so that we'll be in a position to where we stand as far as the women planners are concerned in our town planning profession. Ms. I.P. Parate, former Director Planning, Delhi Development Authority, she says, as I grew up the hierarchy, I faced instances where I felt arrogance amongst my male colleagues who were not used to have a woman officer as part of high-level meetings. Dr. N. Usha, Additional Secretary, Technical, Government of Tamil Nadu, and Chief
sir, you have clicked on mute.
Okay, is it okay now?
Yes, sir, it's okay. Sir, again you have clicked on the mute.
ये लिख के आ रहा है कि host is not allowing.
Yes, yes, yes. That is it. Now it is okay, sir.
Okay. The next woman planners, Madam Vidullata said, she is now the Director Town Planning, Government of Andhra Pradesh. At that time, she was the Chief City Planner of the Vizag. What she says is that women officers have proven that they are better than many and playing a big role in implementation of the master plan and regulation of the development in the urban areas by way of convincing people and reducing the violations to the master plan. Acknowledged by the people and the government that women are more powerful than men in implementing the development control regulations. Madam Usha, she is the chairperson of the Women's Forum. She said that an attitude of gratitude enables you to bounce forward when challenges come in your way. Remember, you are responsible for your miseries while everyone else is responsible for the success. That is what she said. The vice chairperson of the Women's Forum, Professor Dr. Alka Bharat, she said, at times I have also faced the situation where despite having knowledge, credentials, and experience, men prefer to select their own kind and move within their own circle. Life is a seesaw for all, but I think it is more challenging for females who have to balance between three aspects of life, that is family, profession, and social system. Professor Dr. Anjana Vyas, visiting professor from the SET University, what she has to say, please underline. The women planners are actively participating now in the policy making, plan preparation, academia, and research fields also. Dr. Bhavna Srivastava, assistant professor from Man Jaipur, she said, as we have equal education rights for all, likewise, use of that education into the practice is the right of the women planners as well. Dr. Kiran Sandhu, associate professor, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, said, from my own experience, I can say that there is no substitute for grit, determination, and hard work, and no challenge is of such magnitude than can stand in the face of these three qualities. Professor Dr. Meenakshi Dhote says, she is the professor in the School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. All times during field visits, when my team had many women, I was asked to come again with the men as they would be in a better understanding issues. But once it is clear that we were there for work, the support has been forthcoming automatically. Professor Dr. Nilima Rizbut says, she was also the professor in School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. As a woman planner, during my professional journey, initially, I faced a lot of gender bias, but I realized that if you are technically strong and assert yourself, you can make a difference. As far as the Professor Dr. Rashmi Ast, Principal, Hindu College of Design, says, women are very well equipped with management skills as they are the home managers and also are capable of bringing an equilibrium and balance in the planning profession. Professor Dr. Sanjukta Bahaduri, professor from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi, says, as a young woman teacher, the first challenge was to have the knowledge of the subject. Secondly, be a good delivery of the lecture through the convincing oratory and communication skill. And thirdly, be confident enough to impact knowledge to students, particularly older students. Dr. Sarika Bahadure, she is also participating today. Assistant professor from NIT Nagpur says, in recent years, the situation has changed and women are emerging as the source of power and symbol of progress. Despite this, their role is underplayed. They have faced disparity. Dr. Shioli Mitra says, professor from the SPA Bhopal, the last one, with more travel to remote industrial areas in Orissa, tea gardens in North Bengal, road projects across Jharkhand, I realized that the young woman could not be sent alone to these locations from safety concerns. Professor Dr. Vinita Yadav, professor and head Department of Regional Planning, School of Planning and Architecture, says, this is the high time that male members shall give equal footing to females in the profession. Irrespective of gender, competence shall be the only benchmark for selecting the professionals for the positions. These are the views of the women professionals, those who are working in the profession and academicians, and this is what we have received from them, their views and their opinion. From this, it is very clear that majority of the women are really holding a very high position as far as the town and country planning profession is concerned. During the business meeting of the Commonwealth Association of Planners last year, we have proposed that we'll establish the Women Planners Forum, and yes, we have done that. We have therefore decided to call out gender bias and inequality and project women activities, and that is what we have been doing today. To promote professional growth of women planners in all the states in our objective, percentage of the women students is increasing day by day. When we go to the studio of the planning, we see that the women are really in the majority than the male student. This is really a very encouraging trend which is taking place. They are scoring better also. This is what my opinion, and I will quote for that. Professor Dr. V.N. Prasad, National Best Thesis Award of 2020, first, second, and third prize all has been backed by the three women students, that is the lady students. So also the Best Thesis Award at the undergraduate level also has been backed in the 2020 by the women. So this is what the present scenario as far as the women professionals are concerned. And we as the Institute of Town Planners, we would like to encourage their participation in the activities of the Institute of Town Planners India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for providing a platform for Women Planner Forum and encouraging all of us for the leadership role. And thanks a lot once again for giving a chance to all the eminent women planners to contribute for the International Women's Day last year and publishing their article in the newsletter. And a big round of applause for all the women planners and also the female student who backed prizes in the conferences. Thank you once again, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, today in this program, we have the privilege of listening to eminent speakers who will intervene and discuss their research and ideas on the themes of the event. Moving further, I take this opportunity to introduce Ms. Usha Prasad Mahavir, Chairperson ITPI Women Forum. Ms. Usha Mahavir is an architect planner. With an experience of more than 3 decades, she worked at Bombay Metropolitan Region Development Authority and later joined Housing and Urban Corporation Limited, that's HUDCO. Recently, she superannuated as the Executive Director, Project, and Head of Consultancy Wing. She worked closely with Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, a lot of projects like JNNURM, Rajiv Gandhi Awas Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Housing for All, and so on. And for her immense contribution, HUDCO has bestowed upon her Mother Teresa Award for Nari Shakti, a true thing which is a part of today's presentation and seminar, for her sincerity, devotion, and selfless passion in 2019. And I met her yesterday virtually, and I'm really impressed with you, ma'am, with your humble personality. So we welcome you here. Currently, Ms. Usha Prasad Mahavir is a chairperson ITPI Women's Forum, and I kindly request you to introduce the theme and the key speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Before I commence the session, I request all the participants to kindly put their questions or comments in the chat box, and we can take them up in the open house for a discussion. And a very good evening to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank ITPI, especially Professor Dr. D.S. Meshram, President ITPI, for his continuous guidance, support, and motivation in organizing today's event of International Women's Day 2022. The theme for this year's International Women's Day, announced by the United Nations, is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. Women are effective and powerful leaders and change makers for climate adaptation and mitigation. They are involved in sustainability initiatives around the world, and their participation and leadership result in more effective climate action. Women need to have a voice and be equal players in decision making related to climate change, sustainable development, and greater gender equality. Without gender equality today, a sustainable future and an equal future will remain a distant dream. Aligning with the vision of International Women's Day 2022, ITPI decided to celebrate International Women's Day India at 75, achieving the gender equality through planning intervention. Gender equality lies at the heart of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which asserts gender equality as both a fundamental human right and a necessary foundation for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. Sustainable Development Goal 5 concerns the gender equality, that is, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Gender equality is critical to achieving a wide range of objectives central to Sustainable Development Goals. These include promoting economic growth and labor productivity, reducing poverty, enhancing human capital through health and education, attaining food security, attaining climate change impacts and strengthening resilience to disasters, and ensuring more peaceful and inclusive communities. On August 15th this year, When India commemorates 75 years of independence, marking a historical moment, we will step out from the old to new India, embarking on its journey to becoming a global leader in the post-pandemic world. The planning strategies for New India at 75 would focus on harnessing the transformative power of cities, sustainable infrastructure investments, not just limited to economic and climate change considerations alone, but also ensure social considerations such as pro-poor and gender inclusiveness. City master plans and integrated urban development plans are prepared to provide a vision for future growth and development of a city, guide different land uses, and balance sectoral and spatial development requirements with efficient and sustainable use of land and natural resources. However, the inherited urban planning standards fail to consider the needs of women and sexual and gender minorities, impacting the low income women disproportionately by limiting their access to opportunities and services. We need to prioritize the development appropriate to our spatial strategies and minimum working standards to ensure gender inclusive urban development in diverse urban planning contexts. Such standards need to be revised and adjusted to avoid displacement and provide access to public infrastructure and services in low income and high density settlements. We need to create high density and mixed use neighborhoods with short distances to key economic opportunities, social infrastructure, and services to facilitate the compatibility of gainful employment, supply of goods and services while reducing demand on vehicular transport. Friends, we must recognize that women use and experience cities differently from men. Women bear the brunt of poor service delivery. Poor planned infrastructure can divide communities, cutting off access to vital services and causing isolation that hugely impacts people's social and economic prospects, particularly those of women. A gender sensitive approach also means supporting women led project plans that focus on climate adaptation infrastructure and gender sensitive slum upgrading. For instance, informal settlements have poor access to water supply, resulting in huge burden and restricting opportunities for women. Accessibility to utility infrastructure will reduce women's burden on water collection, giving them more time for productive economic and social initiatives. The quality infrastructure planning initiatives must avoid the shortcomings of the past, where infrastructure planning has seldom featured women's priorities. The infrastructure planning systems are built to last for decades. The design and development must be human-centered driven approach that translates to gender-responsive planning. These interventions will greatly improve people's access to basic services, transport, the internet, economic opportunities, and safe public spaces, creating more inclusive cities for all. There is a need to integrate an inclusive, convenient, safe, active, accessible, affordable, transit-oriented, and multimodal transportation system into the plan to enhance access, economic opportunity, social inclusion, and the combination of caregiving and economic activity for women, girls, and sexual and gender minorities. For example, better cycling and walking infrastructure and a more accessible public transport system will enable women to move around the city more safely and quickly, thereby building a more accessible and low carbon city. Women must be included in all aspects of infrastructure planning projects, right from early identification of priorities to their implementation and management, to create an infrastructure that will improve the lives of all who live in the cities and to avoid negative environmental and social impacts. There should be a focus on increasing girls' and women's engagement in urban development and governance through participatory planning and design processes. In the world of COVID-19, all the access, even in the COVID-19 restrictions, should be covered and women should be included. To monitor the gendered impact of infrastructure planning projects and to measure the extent to which new policies and legal frameworks are achieving their objectives or need to be revised, projects must gather gender disaggregated data and use gender sensitive indicators. We also need to ensure that governments develop and use gender responsive budgeting when assessing how spending impacts women and whether this will promote inclusion and equality. Thus, I can say, friends, together we can forge women's equality. Collectively, we can all break the bias. Thus, integrated development that works for women will work for all and will promote vibrant, inclusive, economically productive, efficient, equitable, responsive cities. A world where difference is valued and celebrated. Now, I would like to introduce two of the eminent keynote speakers, Ms. Reena Singh and Dr. N. Usha. Ms. Reena Singh is the former Additional Advocate General, Government of Uttar Pradesh, and Advocate Supreme Court of India. She is a litigation lawyer at the Supreme Court of India since 1995. She is the first lady Additional Advocate General for the state of Uttar Pradesh in the Supreme Court of India and also Governing Council of International Center Alternate Dispute Resolution. After completing mediation training from Supreme Court of India in 2010, she has done advanced mediation training from Pepperdine and Harvard University, the United States of America, in 2015 and 16, respectively. Now, I introduce our next keynote speaker, Dr. N. Usha. She is a town planner with around 32 years of experience in the field of urban planning. She is an alumnus of School of Architecture and Planning, Chennai, and a certificate course in municipal management from University College, London. She has recently been awarded a doctorate in urban planning from University of Madras. She is the member and chief planner of Chennai Metropolitan Development Authority and is currently holding the post of Additional Secretary Technical in the Housing and Urban Development Department, Government of Tamil Nadu. She was also the chairperson of the technical committee that drafted the Tamil Nadu Combined Development and Building Rules, which is currently under implementation. She has extensively contributed and worked in various fields such as urban planning and management, including master plans, development plans, project preparation, implementation, and she has extensively traveled to various parts of the world and participated in national and international seminars and workshops. Now, I hand over to Dr. Sarika ma'am to further conduct the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for introducing our guest speakers. I kindly request today's first eminent speaker, Ms. Reena Singh, former Additional Advocate General, Uttar Pradesh, and Advocate Supreme Court, to enlighten us with her presentation.
Thank you, Matt. I'm so sorry. I just took a little 5 to 10 minutes late to join this session, but I think I'm on time. In fact, firstly, I would like to congratulate to all the wonderful ladies. I'm sharing this dais of the session, uh, and I would like to wish the happy Women's Day. In my view, actually, every day is a Women's Day, but I feel on this day we just celebrate it, and we just appreciate all the men. In fact, appreciate the women in their life. In fact, the thing is, we always talk about the women empowerment, empowering women like this. See, in my view, the women were always empowered. Only they were not recognizing their power, how much they can contribute in the basically for the society, for the country. But yes, in my view, actually, women is the architect of the society, as they're the best architect for the home, as well as they can design their city and country nicely. So, in fact, when we are talking about the discrimination, so I just I have few ideas I've gone through about the architecture, because I don't have much idea about the architecture and all. Otherwise, I'm a science student, but biology student. I have done my graduation in bio. So this area is entirely different, but I have read something, in day-to-day life when we are talking about the architecture. We find, I think, this is a male dominating area. And if you see today, India is one of the fastest urbanizing state in world, with approximately 35% of its population living in urban areas. Uh, if we see the urban female workforce participation rate is one of the world's lowest at 15% and ranked 11th from the bottom in 2012, 131 countries, according to the International Labour Organization. Over the past 2 decades, this trend has been gradually shifting, with more young women joining the urban workforce. However, as our cities equipped enough to accommodate these women to join the workforce comfortably with dignity, actually most cities were planned and designed by man for man. They are fit for able-bodied men and do not take into account the needs of women, sexual or gender minorities, or people with disabilities. Some inequalities are obvious. For example, lack of women's restroom, poor lighting in public places, dangerous public transport system, and lack of pedestration. Just a few minutes before, ma'am was also talking about the cycle track and the pedestrian pathways. They were not nicely maneuvered for the baby strollers. And then there are latent notions of inequality. Walking down the street in an isolated area, riding alone in a taxi or rickshaw, or maybe finding a public parking spot during pregnancy. These are basically the basic necessities in urban areas for the women. But when we talk about this, that the men design the cities for the man. So, but I believe a city is a system designed and developed to cater the needs of their inhabitants, mainly comprising of their infrastructural, social, and environmental needs. And also, these inhabitants might have a diverse range of needs, some of which might be different from the needs of the majority users. However, the fundamental needs remain safety, comfort, and ease of usability. Basically, the rapid urbanization, rising women workforce participation, and revolutionizing lifestyle and hygiene need also call for upgradation of city infrastructure with respect to women inhabitants like never before. Basically, the need for gender sensitization is another aspect of this urge of urban population for the upgradation. If we see, our constitution advocates equal rights for its citizens, either male or female. So, I mean, they have to access to the public toilet, the drinking water, wide entrances to the people with disability are some of the fundamental rights. So, in master planning, exercises in most cities are the highest planning priorities. Next to these goals, social concerns are secondary. Urban planning is a top down exercise, fails to take into account the need of people who are directly affected by these processes, resulting in cities that are non responsive to the needs of people, particularly women, girls, and sexual and gender minorities. The lack of representation of women and sexual and gender minorities across varied level of decision making in the multiple processes involved in urban planning results in a critical gender gap in planning. In fact, if we revisiting the structure of the planning, we always miss somewhere the facility for the women in the city. That's why most of the women feel uncomfortable when they start working, going out. So, in my view, I really believe that the ladies should be the part of the urban planning so that they can also help to the system, basically to suggest what can be the best infrastructure which is suited to the urban women who are coming out for the work, and there's a big workforce is coming. Basically, being a woman, I know all the hardships that come along with it to women for carrying the desire of pursuing their dreams. Believe me, it indeed is a tough call to make. This could only be a invincible power of women that did juggle the balls of house and work so well. This has to be a iconic moment as I'm witnessing empowered women and empowering women here in this, webinar also. These women are really raising the bar about behavioral norms they are expected by society to carry. Hats off to their courage and passion, no matter what and how circumstances were. They are kept burning desires with themselves lit all throughout. It also gives me immense pride to witness change makers in the making as it has just begun. And we have a long way to go. It also gives me a pleasure to congratulate this moment to all the women who are making us proud. And as they say, the success is not a destination, it's a journey. I wish everyone associated with their dreams, they should follow their dreams with the help of the other part of the gender we are living in between. In fact, I really urge through this nice platform to all the sisters who are working and coming out to fulfill their dreams, and they are struggling for their existence to keep intact. In fact, if we all ladies start cooperating each other, in fact, the one sister is supporting to the other sister, then I believe there will be no complaint about the society and all. As I just mentioned before I start my lecture, I said the women is the architect of this society. So if we start doing that, if we start giving helping hand to the other colleague who's a lady and who's also working very hard, everybody has a different journey. Somebody has a success as a destination very early, and few have a long way to go. But if we all sisters to support each other, so I believe that with the help of man, they all are there in our life. In fact, we should appreciate their presence also. You know, the ladies who are making us proud every day if they see there are the men behind their success. How the father who really believe in the daughter and in fact promote her for further good education, and then the brother, then the husband, thereafter the son, and friends and colleagues. They are all our support system. So always, if we are empowered today or we are empowering today, I think with the help of our male colleagues also, the male who are present in our life. So I believe these days, actually, the things are changing in our country also. And again, I'm coming to the point then in architecture also, if this gender bias is addressed, that the ladies should also get chance to design some good projects, and they can assist through their senior colleagues. So I think the planning of a city would be more better and far usable for the inhabitants. So basically now we are also equally like if we are participating now in 2002, we are talking about the 18% would participating in workforce as a lady. But now in decade, I mean, my data says is that 35%. So 35% is not less percentage of the women participation. So now we have to design and plan the city according to the needs of both the male, female, and the other similarly situated, the disabled people, so that in fact, the city would be far better to use. Even the lights, they are really dim. If we see the positioning of light is not that, correct according to the ladies, according to the women, if they are coming back in the evening, we found the placing of the poles are not according to the needs. And then again, the pedestrian pathways is also lacking in most of the cities. I have seen few cities are very well planned. I've seen the Chandigarh, it is very well planned. The pedestrian path, and then the cycle track is also there. But if I see in Delhi, it's very difficult to even walk on the roads. It is very poorly planned. And then, in fact, even it is not good for the cyclist also. The roads are a little bumpy somewhere. I myself have started cycling in the last lockdown. I thought this is the best exercises and the people are less on the roads. Let's start cycling. So I realized what kind of lacunas are there in the planning. In fact, the road were not meant for the cycle. I never ever noticed when I was moving on the car on the roads, no bumpy road, nothing. It was very smooth running. When I started cycling, then I realized, oh my God, the roads are not even. And it's a very bumpy and a wavy also. And, little road bumps were also there in between, rumble strips we used to call. So I found very difficult to go from Defense Colony to Nehru Park and then coming back to Lodi Garden. In very difficulty, I cycle. Use my cycle on those parts. Then I thought, if I'll get some chance to speak to the big town planners, and I think maybe that was the blessed day. God granted me that wish. Okay, granted, you can speak before the architects and the town planners. So I got the chance to, join this webinar. Although I'm here as a lawyer, but as a citizens, I have few suggestions to make. So with the permission of the chair, in fact, I would like to mention two, three, four things. The cities really need a pedestrian tracks and the cycle tracks, so that the women who really want to, use their cycles also to go for work. if it is close by, or if they want to go to the market by taking their cycles, so that they can also use these roads for that purpose. And rightly, just a few days before, I was just checking the Twitter, then I found then the urge, even this request is also came from the Honorable Prime Minister. Cycle on Sunday. So I believe that the government will also take some steps in bringing movable roads for cyclists. We are ready to use our cycles on Sunday, especially on Sunday. But we need proper roads also, so that we may not get hurt if road is uneven. And again, I would like to congratulate to the wonderful ladies here. Happy Women's Day, and in fact, to Sir also, that it's a Women's Day, and I hope I have not exceeded my jurisdiction in making some suggestions and requesting for some corrections. And thank you very much for calling me here to speak a little bit of my heart. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for sharing your deep knowledge about the subject. It's very true. You started with the every day is Women's Day, and we feel so. Only thing, at times we don't recognize it. Yeah, we do discuss about gendering the spaces and the built environment. And if you will observe, most of the time, men design the spaces, but the needs and thinking of both the gender differs a lot. And so is the planning. The last point about which you mentioned, we do have 25 plus city comprehensive mobility plan, which is in process. So definitely things are happening. Maybe a bit slow, but things are happening. Thanks a lot once again for being with us and for your full of enthusiasm and valuable knowledge with us. All the participants are requested to write the questions in the chat box, if any. The question answer session will be taken after the second key speaker's address. Now I kindly request today's next eminent speaker, Dr. N. Usha, Additional Secretary, HNUD Department and Member of Chief Planner, CMDA, to enlighten us with your presentation.
Good evening to one and all. I would like to extend my warm wishes on the occasion of the Women's Day, International Women's Day. I thank Dr. Meshram, Mr. Kapoor, and the organizers of ITPI for having given me an opportunity to speak during this webinar. Now, the theme of the webinar is incorporation of the planning interventions in terms of gender in urban planning. Now, the speakers before me have highlighted several issues. As a town planner who has been in this profession for close to 35 years now, are we really considering gender aspects in planning? This is a big question that we need to introspect and sort of research on this. In fact, I told Dr. Meshram yesterday that this was a very very tricky topic, because the moment this topic was given to me and I was trying to collect some kind of data on whether we are really doing, because as a town planner, I was involved in the second master plan preparation for Chennai metropolitan area. I have a fair experience in the first implementation of the first master plan, and now we are in the cusp of the third master plan, for which the horizon year we are thinking of 2026. Before that, we have to do it. Now, are we really looking into gender aspects? This has given a lot of insight And I should say that I have introspected a lot. This topic has made me think a lot. And I personally feel that we have not taken this at a serious level. Of course, planning, doesn't segregate between the gender on the gender basis. We are looking to plan for safe, efficient, sustainable cities and towns and other areas. And we take the entire population. We have not segregated. That is my first conclusion, which I feel we have to admit. Now we talk about gender. Now, gender as a topic or as a let's say a term, I think it's more at the constitutional level in terms of equality. But in terms of programs, policies, and plans, I feel it's conspicuously absent. Now, at present, all countries, we all know, are looking at the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that have been laid down by the United Nations. And now they have become the targets, the new targets for all countries. And we, as part of the government, in terms of various institutions, we are all striving very hard to achieve the targets as mentioned in the various Sustainable Development Goals by the respective departments. Now, if we look at gender aspect, I feel, because we are looking at planning and gender, so SDG 5 and SDG 11 will be more relevant to us. SDG 5 is set on gender equality agenda, and SDG 11 relates to housing and urban development. Now, 11 focuses on housing and urban development, which basically focuses on adequate, safe and affordable housing and basic services and upgrading of slums. It also talks about integrated human settlement planning and management. So we have to take together in that. How do we do that? Now, what does gender planning really talk about? To my understanding, it basically, it talks about the fact that the needs of the women and men are different in terms of safety, various activities that need to be pursued, the economic considerations, the social impact it has. So this is more so in terms of low-income settlements. Now, if we look into the role of gender at the institutional level, we do see that even though we have a lot of planners coming up, in fact, today I was addressing a small meet in view of this International Women's Day at the School of Planning, Chennai. And we're very happy to note that students, out of 20 students, almost 12, 13 students were girls. But that's true. People are taking up as a profession. A lot of girls are coming in. Town planning is picking up as a profession. But at the decision-making level, except for the mandatory reservation for women, there is less involvement at the institutional level. Now, we are all talking about empowerment of women. That's the jargon, let me say. But then, of course, empowerment of women is always considered as one of the main pillars of effective governance. But how do we do it? We are talking of inclusive. We generally talk of inclusive growth. Now, inclusive means it's for everybody, but we are not making any distinct role in terms of the incorporation of gender aspects in. I am restricting myself to more on town planning, the physical plans that we are preparing. Now, one aspect that we need to now consider is the national transportation policy, which has come out openly talking about the role of transport infrastructure in enhancing the safety and security of women. This is one policy which has clearly spelled out the guidelines for women safety-oriented transportation networks. Now, we all know that the various town planning acts enacted by different states, the content is more or less similar in terms of preparation of the various types of plans. When we look at them, these form the backbone of town planning in the country. We don't find any specific mention about gender. We talk about allocation of land for various uses, resources, how it is to be met and all that. But we are not making any distinction saying that this is required, especially for on a gender aspect. We have not. So generally we allocate land for various uses. Now, the URD-PFI guidelines, which have been given by the TCPO in 2016, for the first time, I feel has come out, has recommended the inclusion of gender-sensitive tools, methodologies and approaches in urban planning. So which is a very welcome beginning, and we should take a cue from the URD-PFI guidelines. And as I said earlier, Chennai is in the cusp of preparing its third master plan. And I'm sure these guidelines will be helpful, maybe to come out with certain gender specific aspects in our master plan. Maybe for the first time in the country, this has given us a real opportunity to think about on these aspects. Now we know that, having said all this, we know there is a disconnect between the so-called gender and urban planning. Of course, some initiatives have been taken up, like, based on the funding requirements of the funding agency, where they specify that some beneficiary-oriented allocations need to be on gender basis, like the PMAY. So that has become the norm in case of funding by international agencies. Now, how do we go about? Having said all this, how do we go about? To me, I have just, quickly, I thought 3 or 4 points in which physical planning, when we are doing master plans or detailed development plans for a specific area, we may think on certain aspects needs a lot of research, but just top of the hat, I thought. Now, our goal is to create safe cities for women, which is what is planning for women is all about. Now, how do we do that? Maybe we can provide for adequate livelihood and economic activities, allocate areas where micro enterprises like self-help groups, that can be done while we are finalizing land use plans. Instead of earmarking lands on a very generic manner, maybe we should think when we are doing our master plans, some areas which will give, a kind of a separate reservation for these kind of activities. That is one thing that I could think of. And as pointed out by my earlier colleagues and speakers, we should think of safe public transportation, which can always be built into a master plan, and definitely cycle tracks, pedestrian pathways are the need of the hour. That is, definitely we'll have to give a separate, at least in new neighborhoods, when we are creating big layouts or new neighborhoods, this should be given priority. Then I feel the third important point will be public spaces, because we already have some guidelines for public buildings in designing. The building regulations take care of that in terms of providing adequate restrooms, and then the ramp facilities. Now we have, in most of the public places, we have breastfeeding centers, and then we have some restrooms allocated exclusively for women. So such things are there. They are part of building regulations for public buildings. But we need to look at public spaces like parks, playgrounds, other open spaces, which need to be, we need to create them keeping in mind the safety and security. So we'll have to plan for these places in such a way that they are well lit, people can access at all time of the day without any fear. So that I feel is part of physical planning, and we should plan spaces in such a way. And then we can also think about certain other planning tools that we can introduce in the regulatory mechanism, in the development regulations. This is still at the nascent stage, but I feel this forum has given an opportunity, at least for me, to think about on what gender-specific planning tools can be integrated as part of the regulations itself. Suppose somebody comes up for a layout, I say, look, these are all the other items that need to be as part of the regulations. That is one thing. Similarly, earlier we were talking about the sustainable development goals, and wherein housing is very important. Now in that, I feel when there is also now a move to allocate land exclusively for affordable housing, so that it meets the demand of that particular target group. Now, while doing that, we can ensure, we can earmark, and we can also ensure that safe drinking water and good sanitation facilities are available, because these are the areas in which women, personally, I feel, face a lot of challenge. We have heard a lot of stories where women have to go out for all this needs. So we need to plan these affordable housing areas with adequate drinking water and sanitation facilities. And lastly, I feel that capacity building, we need to think more on that to develop the skills, and we need to create enabling institutions. And the master plans will have to provide for the spaces for such institutions. So I feel as a physical planner, as a town planner, because ultimately the plan is for the safety and security of everybody. But now I feel it's now the time to think on gender specific planning interventions. And whatever I suggested are just a few items, but there will be many. I might not have covered the entire spectrum, but I feel it's a good beginning, and it's very, very opportune moment to have thought about this topic. And I thank once again the organizers for having given me an opportunity to speak on this forum. And happy Women's Day again to all. And thank you very much, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with your presentation and for informing us about the inclusion of gender in your ITPI guidelines and how you have tried to include it in your city plan. And also about the major 5-6 points, which is definitely should be taken into consideration, considering gender as an aspect. And as mentioned by you, SDG 5, gender equity. So there are a few good things about it, but still India is way back. To list a thing like primary education, female education is 100%, but when it comes to secondary education, then we have only 75% of the female who are going further. Similarly, employment is only 27% is the women participation. So there are things are happening in a positive note, but it will still take a time. So
Sure.
Thank you once again, ma'am, for informing us.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I open the house for discussion. All the participants are requested to write their question in the chat box.
Dr. Sarika, there's no question in chat box. So
Okay, sir.
you can request the participants, if anybody can want to say something, not the questions, but any observation on the issues particularly raised by a non-planner, Ms. Reena Singh, as a citizen who is using the city infrastructure, and what are her observations on that? Because certain things everyone knows, but we don't give proper attention to such issues. So any participants, if they want to share their views, otherwise we can move to the concluding remarks by Dr. Al-Kabarat. So you can invite if anybody wants to say.
Yes, sir. So I request the participants, if you have anything specific to mention, you can unmute yourself, or else if you have any queries, you can mention that.
One Meenal Selukar, she has put on the chat box a question that what are the legal aspects of role in women rights in social awareness? Probably this is addressed to Ms. Reena Singh.
Yes, in fact, she's asking, question, maybe I missed. In fact, the thing is, women have enough rights, and basically Constitution, as I mentioned earlier, Constitution always advocates for the equal participation of any gender. Constitution never ban any female to participate into that. Yes, there are so many laws are available for the women if they feel that they are sexually harassed in the workplace, or they are stalking by someone, or someone out of colleague or someone is troubling them. In fact, in your institute also there must be some committee as per the Supreme Court guidelines, because there are the guidelines that every institution has to have one sexual harassment inquiry committee. In that, in fact, there is an independent member who is the basically appointed by all the corporations for the investigation regarding the sexual harassment at the workplace. So every institution has to have, in fact, not has to have, I have to say must have that committee in their offices, which works for the complaints. And on the sexual harassment, even in Supreme Court also, we have one gender sensitization committee to inquire all the complaints regarding the sexual harassment. So the female have all the rights to approach first to their committee. And there are in few, basically, I don't know about the Indian corporations, but I know few in, I think, the SAIL and the Indian companies. There's an ombudsman. They appoint the ombudsman to take care of all kind of dispute arises at the workplace. So, in fact, regard to women also, and other disputes regarding the hierarchy and the harassment of that way. Just to lighter note, now, gender sensitization is not just for the women. Now, after removal of a few sections by the Honorable Supreme Court, the genderism, man is also sensitized these days. So the law is equal for both, but yes, our society needs some upgradation, or maybe the open thinking, because this society has to accept the empowering woman or empowered woman, because we are empowering, we are empowered. So many sisters are empowering day by day. But the problem comes when the society perceives their strength. You are strong, I'm strong, our sisters are strong who are coming forward to fulfill their dreams, to fight for their existence in the society, what they deserve. But the problem is that the society, they have to see how society are taking their strength. They are strong, undoubtedly they are strong, but society has to accept them and respect their strength. Okay, that, yes, they can also work well, they can also fulfill responsibilities of their offices also, as they fulfill all the duties at home. Likewise, they can also handle all kind of stress and responsibilities at workplace also. They should not be treated less. So that's why we always advocate for the equal pay scale also, equal pay also. I also observed, being a female professional, sometimes when our client comes, we always see, okay, fine, there's a man, they always ready to, give good fee. And when they see the female, they always try to, I don't know how many of my lady colleagues face this situation, but in many of cases, I have seen that or observed that they want to pay less to the women. Even at the salary basis, they always want to pay more to the man, but not to the female. So we should also exercise our legal rights, which is already available under acts. So sometimes what happened, there is a committees are there, and there the law is also available. But the problem is that sometimes ladies doesn't come forward to complain. So with this platform, in fact, I request to all of you that if you have some problem, if you are feeling that you are suffocated at the workplace and somebody is harassing you being a lady, that you cannot work well, please come out and complain. Don't suppress yourself, and don't think that nothing will happen. There is a one share, I don't know, do I remember correctly or not? जरा झूम के जरा झूम के एक वक्त मुद्दा तो उठाओ यारो, देखो उसके बाद कौन कौन पीछे आता है. तो सबसे बड़ी बात है कि आप शुरू तो करो रास्ता. हार और जीत का डर किस लिए? आप शुरू करो अपनी जर्नी. You just start telling which is troubling you, which is hitting you inside. Law is available. We all are there for you. We will take stand for you. But please come out and complain and tell to the people. Only lawmakers and followers can help you people. I mean, unless the ladies will not come forward to tell what is the problem in the society, why we are not able to apply all the laws available on the land, why execution is fail, why we say kuch nahi hoga, kuch nahi hota hai, hoga. But we have to keep our strength and our faith in ourselves. If I am feeling injustice somewhere, I am getting tortured by someone, please come out and report to the appropriate authority. If you have a committee, complain to the committee. If you don't have any committee, you give in writing to your seniors, and you have legal remedy available with the police, Mahila Thanas. Now, so many things are there. Even now, ADR has also introduced. It is not only the criminal offenses and police will come and arrest your colleague and any other person. There is a ADR mediation processes are also there. At a community level, in fact, Delhi government has started sitting in the mediation centers. They also try to resolve the issues through mediation. So it is not always that you have to run pillar to the post to get justice in court and after the lawyer. There are mediation cells also. You can file your complaint. They can call the person who's troubling you, who's torturing you, and they make you sit together. And in fact, if it doesn't give any success in mediation, obviously you have the right to approach to the Thana, and you can, in fact, the Mahila Thana can also forward your complaint to the police Thana concerned, and then Ayu will be assigned your case and he will examine and investigate the matter. So, but the thing is, we all have to have faith in law. Yes, you will get justice. There can be a time, but slowly our system is also improving. Our judicial system is also improving, working, and the government is also working. Law and Justice Department Ministry is also coming up with Lok Adalats and the mediation centers. The government is also working very well in ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution. So, in fact, I feel I satisfied the person who has asked the question. And if you really want a specific query, you can just write in the inbox. I'll try to satisfy your query also.
Thank you, ma'am, for your reply. I can see there are a few things which has been mentioned in the chat box. Ms. Malini has mentioned Mrs. Dr. Usha, thank you for doing the real justice to the topic. And she is also asking about the numbers of planners. So I just did a statistic calculation last year. So this is the number I can share with you. More than 6,500 planners are there in India, but among them only 940 plus are women, which contributes to around 15%. And among them also, when we just go for the fellow members, it's only 5%. So numbers are less, but then nevertheless, we are always working on it. And further, she also mentioned about who are the earliest women planner. I feel few of them we can see here. Usha ma'am is there, then Alka ma'am is there, then we have just now Dr. Usha ma'am also spoke about it. So few of them are here with us. And yeah,
you
we do
refer
have
the newsletter we published last year on the last Women's Day.
Yes, sir.
Last year, 21.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sarika, I wanted to say a few things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, as far as the number is concerned, what you are seeing today is about 7,000 planners are there. But this is the count started from the year 1951. At that time, definitely there was no women's participation as far as the planning profession is concerned. But that is not the case today. Whenever you go to any of the class of the planning or the studio, you see more than 50% students are from the female background and they are women participants. So that is not the case today. The participation of the women is increasing day by day. As far as the planning is concerned, we don't distinguish between the gender, whether for the woman or female or the male and all these things. As far as the planning is concerned, they are equally treated. There is no distinction. But nowadays, we are really trying to have the inclusive planning. Inclusive means the persons, those who were not included so far in the planning process. So we wanted that their participation should be there, and that is what the inclusive planning is we are trying to really achieve. And that will, if that is really done, definitely there will be the more participations of the ladies, more participations of the women, and that is bound to happen in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sarika madam, one question from Rashri Kamath madam is also there in the chat box.
Sir, actually, I can't see the question.
Okay, let us ask directly if he is there.
Yes, Rashri madam, you asked the question, your question directly. She might not be there. Okay, please share, madam.
No, if I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible, Rashri madam.
In fact, I have not written any question, but if you are giving me chance to say, then I'm very privileged to have to work in a department of architecture and planning, MANIT, where I think more than 50% women architect planners are already working. So I just want to mention that Otherwise, I have not written any question, I think.
Okay.
Okay, anyway.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Kapoor Saab.
Sarika, you can request
Okay.
Dr. Alka Bharat for concluding
Yes.
remarks.
Yes, sir.
But,
Yes, sir.
but before that, I would like to add one thing, just to add to what submitted by Ms. Reena Madam. I'm just going through the today's newspaper. We are talking about equality. So the sports page, this is first page I read every morning. So today the headline was Rohit Sharma, captain cricket Indian team, men's, he get 18 lakhs for 3 ODIs, whereas Mithali Raj gets 1 lakh for 3 ODIs. So this kind of inequality still we are facing at that level. So what to talk about the rural areas or small cities? So still a long way to go, but what earlier Sarika said, we have started sensitizing these issues, and probably the day will not be far when we achieve the equality. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There is a far way to go. Still, we are talking about all gender equality, but it is not there. It is just for some level. You know, when we are reaching to the higher and higher, then we all face there is a problem. You see in the all the departments. I mean, even I read, in fact, in the newspaper itself, one of the politician was saying the ladies are not fit. उनको ज़्यादा बड़ी जिम्मेदारी नहीं देनी चाहिए. So I was laughing and thinking कि I should ask this question to him. घर से बड़ी जिम्मेदारी क्या होती है? एक यूनिवर्स को बढ़ाने की एक माँ बनने से बड़ी जिम्मेदारी क्या होती है? एक न्यू बॉर्न बेबी को ब्रॉट अप पालने की से बड़ी जिम्मेदारी क्या होती है? इससे बड़ी कोई जिम्मेदारी नहीं हो सकती कि एक लाइफ को एक औरत संभाल के रखती है, घर को भी संभाल के रखती है. क्या मैनेजमेंट की जरूरत नहीं होती घर में? You know what I feel? The home is kind of a country. We have different people. They have different thinking. They have different likings. Somebody likes South Indian, somebody likes continental, and somebody likes North Indian. The one lady entertain everybody like a restaurant manager. Okay, what do you want? She provide each and everything. Then she is teaching kids also. She is managing the relatives also. And relatives, the politics in relatives is also there. She's handling that also nicely. She's, the management skill you can see. You can appreciate your wives, mother and sister, the way they are handling their household thing. The critical politics inside, the ego, the jealousy. She's handling everything with everyone. So this is the management. The same thing when she's coming to the office. Likewise, she's handling everything nicely. But only my request to the ladies, stop complaining. Don't complain. You just improve yourself. You just support each other. You know, instead of complaining, we should improve our attitude also sometimes. We should support others. Support will come. Yes, it is, we are very lesser ladies are out. You know, in your profession, architecture, and in my profession, ladies are very less. And we have to work very, very hard to get our place. Very hard. Then also every day there is a question mark on our performance. Whether are you able to do the job or not. You know, I just, if you allow, I just want to share one of my experience. When I was young, actually, my daughter was hardly 3 months old, and I was the standing counsel, is one of the very litigating development authority of UP. So my matter was listed there. What happened? I got the call from home that my daughter is not well. I mean, she's puking and something like that. She was very small. So immediately I tried to mention my matter before the court and said, Your Lordship, there's a personal difficulty and kindly have it this matter for some other day or tomorrow or something. So no, it was the time I'm talking about 20 years before. It's say around 98 or 99. The Honorable Bench said, I don't know why you ladies join this profession when you can't behave professionally. That was the time, 20 years before. So we have seen that time also. If we are asking accommodation for a day for the hearing because our kid is not well, and it is well aware to the Honorable Bench also that the baby is very small, she has to take care of baby also. But it was the comment on me. And you know what? What I did? I started taking my kid to the court with maid. And I requesting to the Honorable Judge, kindly allow my baby to sit in your chamber because I'm not going to take any adjournment on behalf of my baby. And there was no crutch, no baby sitting in the courts, nowhere. Not in High Court, not in National Commission, Supreme Court, nowhere. My baby was all the time in the car with maid. And I was working the whole time. I was appearing everywhere with my baby. Okay, fine. I was teaching my kids when they are sitting outside. My kids was there in Barakhamba Road. I used to pick my kid, generally take them, took them to the court. If they have exam next day, I'm waiting for my matter. I'm teaching my kids also. So I did that. So we have to do like this, ladies. We have to prove our worth. We are not going to sit by saying anybody why you are not behaving professionally. Maybe they could have said this, keep what you are doing, you are bringing your home in court. But let me tell you and let me share you the beautiful part of this. The Honorable Judge started behaving like a grandfather for my kids. They started bringing small cookies for them because when they saw, okay, fine, she's not going to listen any comment like this. She is bringing her kids. And they started appreciating us because sometimes what happened, few people are there, they really create wrong impression on their mind. Okay, fine, I want adjournment for this behalf, that behalf. When the seniors and the people who are sitting on the high post, when they see really you want to work hard, despite all odds, they support. So I got the support, and now my both daughters are grown up. One is doing law, and the other is in 10th standard. So I'm blessed that way. But yes, journey was really very difficult at that time because we don't have any place to sit to eat food, even to relax anywhere, only the canteen. And infrastructure is very poor, very, very poor in courts. So for ladies, it is very tough to work there. We don't have any place except our car to sit. But now, after some time, infrastructure is improving. We have private ladies' bar room also. We can sit inside our bar room. We have more and bigger libraries. But still for the gender, we need some more infrastructure, the washrooms and the cleanliness. So these are the infrastructure we really need, and the proper, the good nutritious food on the canteens. So many things are there still we have to achieve. And the thing is, so you rightly said, the mindset. Correct mindset is very important. In fact, our male colleague has to accept us. Okay, fine, they are with us. And secondly, whatever we are doing, whatever we are achieving our destinations, we are still a woman. We have compassionate heart. We have emotions for everything. So we should be treated and accepted with our femininity. We never, I don't think we ladies are demanding any more empowerment. We are empowered. But we just want the acceptance of the society. Please accept us also as your counterpart, as a professional in your offices, in your workplaces, and believe us, we can do wonders. Now see, things are changing. There was a great fight in the Supreme Court. The armed forces was not ready to accept the ladies as commission officers. They were, in fact, contesting their matter. No, no, we will not take them. This will happen, that will happen. But ultimately, the thing is, ladies won the case, and now they are commissioned in army also. There's so many departments in army. The ladies can handle that well. Even I would like to mention the case of Ukraine. I was just noticing, in fact, they have 30% soldiers are female. You see the beautiful messages they are sending. Okay, there's a beautiful sunshine. Still, I'm alive. I'll fight. I love my country. I'll fight for my country. So, and see, this is the 12th or 13th day of the war, but still, Ukraine, the small countries, is still sustaining. The first 8 days, they were basically giving reply to Russia alone. That country was all alone. But you see the women part there. Nari Shakti, Devi ka strong form. And if Devi is in support, I don't think any Shiva can fall. Because I believe then Shiva Shakti is a combination of any strength. It's a complete strength. So I think I'm going away from the topic, but yes, this is very close to my heart. But I believe and I request to all the ladies also, empowered me doesn't mean that you have become very arrogant and you try to suppress your male colleagues. No, they are your equal partners. Don't try to, dominate on them. You just empower on your own. What was yesterday? Grow for today, for tomorrow. Do something better for yourself. Don't compare yourself with the men. They have different journey altogether to go. Yes, they can support you. Obviously, they will support you if we will support to them. So in harmony, coexistence is a better thing to go in hand. Don't try to run ahead the man. You just walk your journey. You just walk on your journey. That is the beautiful thing to move ahead. But yes, please be unite, ladies. Sisters, be unite. Support each other. You will find the beautiful society ahead. If you will not support each other, if you will drag each other down, then please don't complain to the men that they are not allowing you to grow. Because you have to grow on your own conditions, but with potential. You have to have potential, show your potential. No one can stop you. कोई नहीं आपको रोक पाएगा. अगर आपने ठान लिया है कि आप हार्ड वर्क के थ्रू पाना चाहती हैं, तो आपको कोई नहीं रोक सकता. Let it be. Let the people say whatever they are saying. Don't listen to them. You just focus on your aim. What is your aim? First thing is that make an aim. What do you want? You want money, you want dignity, you want to do something else. I to always believe that success is not only achieving very big job or very big fat financial background. I think the success is if all the relations are happy with you, if somebody who is feeling very low and coming to you and speaking to you, and you are giving little hope to the person, and that person is happy after meeting you. I think that is also success. And that is also success that if you are happy with yourself, if you love yourself, if you like your profession, your life, what you choose in your life, I think that is also success. So always define your success. What do you want in life? If your tree is growing nicely, giving fruits to you, giving flowers to you, that is also success. Yes, because मैंने एक टमाटर का पेड़ लगाया, उसमें छोटे-छोटे टमाटर आए. That was my great success because I worked hard on that. So success is not always ki, oh, she is getting this much post, she is getting this big project, why I'm not getting this project. Leave it. You are successful in your work, whatever you are doing. So we have to define our own successes. If I'm happy today, this is my success. If my work has been completed, when I'm going to bed, that is success. So my success story is very small. I always feel happy if I completed my work on my table within the same day. That is my success. Whether I have any project in hand tomorrow or not, but if my table is clean and no file pending on that, I'm successful woman. So my success is that no pendency for tomorrow. New day, new morning, and we will see new work and new project next day, new matter. So, because I was mostly I have done the government matters. When I was, in fact, AAG for UP, so I mean, UP is a very tough place to deal with. So I was handling the mining matters. It was very difficult to handle me, a lot of stress. But I never ever kept my file pending. I generally get up early in the morning, 4 o'clock, finish the file, but I never compromise with the time with my kids. The evenings were there. So now also I'm getting up early in the morning. I have a habit at getting up at 4 o'clock. So this is how we manage our passion, our family, and the balance has to be there. Balance has to be there. If we lose balance for one thing, we will lose the other side. Without family, we cannot survive. Without family, we cannot feel happy. We may achieve the top of the position, but still, we need family to celebrate. We need to share our happiness with them. So I believe now the ladies who are coming out, they are really the smart women, superwomen rather, and they are handling their things well. And now the technologies are so good. In fact, advanced technologies, every day the things are coming day by day. We can do 2-3 things together. If I have my electronic equipment, I can teach my kids also. I can argue also virtually, and I can do my drafting things also. So we have to learn how to manage our time. So basically, but in my life, my experience is that, yes, I'm in male-dominating profession, and it is really very tough to grow. But I found all are very helpful. All are very helpful. Initially, it happens when they see, okay, one more person is joining the bar. And but when our male colleague and friends see, no, she wants to do work, and she's genuine in her aim and passion, then they help. Really, I mean, I'm so blessed, and in fact, we are all blessed that we have good male colleagues with us to support. So because whatever we are today, why we are empowered, with their help, we can't empower themselves. We just can't. We can plan, we can think, but they are very important part of our projects because they really support us. When we are getting late in the evening, we always ask our male colleague, will you please drop me till there? So this society, and in fact, when I'm talking to architects, I will not leave any, opportunity to demand the improvement in the system. I really need the pedestrian part should be there, and that has to be so smooth that the stroller can move on that path. And basically, the cycle track is must in Delhi also. So I really request to Meshram sir if he can communicate with the government, and government can release some fund. I don't know which I mean.
It's already there as one component in Smart City Mission.
Right.
That is already there.
Oh, good. Really,
nice talking to you and listening you I think we need more sessions with you, and we'll have association with you in future also, because we are exceeding the time already by 20 minutes, and still Dr. Alka Bharat is waiting for giving concluding remarks.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry,
I did.
sorry to interrupt you in between. Sarika?
Yes, sir. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir. As the program winds down, on this note, let's conclude a remarkable, memorable, and knowledgeable session. Let me take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Alka Bharat, Vice President, ITPI Women's Forum. Dr. Alka Bharat is a professor in the Department of Architecture and Planning, Manit Bhopal, with an experience of about 33 years in academic and profession and research. Her areas of interest and specializations are spatial planning, architecture, economics, natural resources, environmental and human rights. She has more than 60 presentations and 80 publications at national and international forums. She has contributed to chapters in many books, and she is a panelist at many national and international platforms. Ma'am, I invite you to sum up the entire purpose of this program in the concluding remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Sarika. A very tough job. Such a wonderful sessions. Grateful to the experts as well as Miss Usha Mahavir. She added a point for me to put her comments also in the concluding remarks. So to start with, a very happy Women's Day to all of us. Wonderful sessions, full of knowledge, awareness, sensitizing thoughts, coming straight away from the heart. Very wonderful. This is, I think, made the whole sessions very lively. And this is what is expected by the decision makers as well as policy makers, to try to include or get ideas from different spectrum, different streams of the society. Thanks a lot, Ms. Reena Singh and Dr. Usha, for wonderful sessions. Appreciating Dr. D.S. Mishra and Mr. Pradeep Kapoor's effort for creating the opportunity for voices of women planners through this dedicated platform. My job was very tough. I just tried to keep a pace, capturing the best. I thought initially that I will just capture the best. I was wrong. Everything is the best. So I could not leave any point mentioned by it. Hope I passed this exam. So I'll just start with Ms. Usha Mahavir for so very clearly and strongly laying the context. I'll just mention points. I know mentioning the points will make things more specific, and everything has been so elaborately dealt as well as raised by all of us. So, first of all, taking up what Ms. Usha Mahavir has to say. She stressed upon accessibility, human-centered planning, gender-responsive planning, which has to be inclusive and safe. And I could find the transit-oriented or transportation-centric issues were so very emphasized by all three of you. And we understand, yes, it's a very important point. And to the extent possible, it should be addressed. Now, the decision-making chain, which Ms. Usha Mahavir has mentioned, has a very clear gaps in it, where it can be dovetailed by making the system inclusive, engaging in participatory process, gender-sensitive indicators. She tried to cover each scale possible, starting from attributes down to consideration and down to implementation, everything, anything. I think she has really placed a very tough job, not for me, but for everybody included in this. The integrated planning works for women. This is what she ended up. Now starts my next list. So thank you, Ms. Usha Mahavir, for trying to touch upon the best from the angle as a professional, as a beneficiary, and us, an expectation that is you have on your own created and put it in a nutshell. Such a great job. You did such a wonderful job for putting everything, touching each and every aspect and putting them so very clearly in a nutshell. Thank you so much, ma'am. Miss Reena, the way she spoke, I think I should be grateful to her, making the session so lively, making the session so inclusive, not letting at any moment that this is such a formal and planned event. Thanks a lot, Ms. Reena. Getting into very elaborate, very relevant, very important points which she touched upon, starting from recognition of empowerment. Definitely, this is there. We just have to introspect, look into the strength which we are holding. That is it. All of us are strong enough and very clear in ideas, very clear in articulating our actions. This is, we have to understand. So here comes empowerment as the very first point which she started with. Touching others just as points. We are architects of society. Yes, definitely. Each one of it. Whether we are professionally an architect or not, we are architect of society. This is such important. This is such a valuable role we are playing for the society. Urban workforce participation. She really gave a scenario where it was very low, but she ended up with a figure of later on period at present, which is something much higher than what she initially started with. That gives a boost to us. That gives a real way we are not virtually, but practically contributing to the system therein. Cities are designed by men for men. This needs to be rectified to the extent which she herself said later on. There should not be a divided society. We should be a unified one. There should be universal considerations for these types of approaches where we are looking for gender sensitive one. Yes, this is the strength. Why should we be categorized as somebody that needs support? Why should we? If others are not, we shouldn't. So that is every time I think I'll be referring to our strength. Just look at what we have, what we can contribute, how best we can shape ourselves, how best we can contribute towards spaces for women, safe spaces. Yes, this has been recognized by Dr. Usha later on as a one who herself is a part of preparation of master plans, that this is the gray area, this is the weak area. We should definitely strengthen this. City is a system, and that particular system needs to be designed as per maturity. It's always there. Number surpasses the skills. Number surpasses the values. So there is somewhere a game of number that is to be taken care of. There is need for gender sensitization. Yes, that should come from all ages. The cohort should be very clear from the base till the apex of it. This sensitization starts from the home itself, spills out on the street and the professional spaces. Definitely, if this sensitization is tailored into everybody to make it gender neutral, will definitely not require some deliberations where we are talking for gender sensitizations as for gender equality. There is some less participation of women in decision making, not only in planning stream, but any type of decision making that should be taken on. So it's always a tough call for professionals, specifically the women professional, to balance the society and professional demand. Just to add to what she has said like this, I'll just put it now. Every system is very demanding. At every front, you cannot miss on any point. You cannot, you just raised, you gave one example. Example was good. Intention may be good, but it was not appropriate at the time. When you were asking, it was not an excuse. You were just giving reference to the higher authorities that your child needs you at that moment. I think this is very personal. Somebody should always give importance to. Now, this is sensitizing, which we are looking for. Later on, the grandfather-like figure, it tried, this is how the system tries to see through your efforts which you are making. You earned that position. This is it. And this is what you have been stressing upon. It's earning of a position. Nobody will just put as a platter in front of you. Definitely. Very good point. That's it. She had all kudos for, and hats off to change makers. Definitely. Whenever there is an ice breaking, it's very difficult for those who are part of that ice sheet and those who are standing on the other side to just walk after the ice is broken. So it's very difficult for either race to accept it and to be part of that transition there. A long way to go, definitely. I think it will get shortened, not in terms of time as statistics, but the collective efforts which we are making. It's a holistic one, an individual, community, and all levels, national, international, all efforts are going at their own pace, which will definitely have a much, much stronger result to have a very balanced and inclusive society. Success is not destination, it's a journey. Very wonderfully said. And how you define your success with a very chota sa tomato. That's wonderful. Everybody has its own scale to measure his or her all things, whether it is success, whether it is the work which is to be done, any type of evaluation. So please don't evaluate yourself by using somebody else's scale therein. Make it yourself. Have it yourself. So she has so many times urged all of us to realize yourself, to look into your potentials, to look for support for the sisters around it. I'll add to it, brothers around you, so that you will get more fathers and grandfathers around you. That is such a good point, such a good point. There's always men behind success. I'm happy I have all my men in the home sitting somewhere outside. Otherwise, there will be lots of claps. Yes, we were saying like this. But definitely we have to recognize this. Similarly, we have to emphasize to make them recognize our importance also. So it's either ways that is to be done. So nicely said. Then moving from 18% to 35% of women workforce, a very, very positive figure, a very positive statement to be put in front of all that group which we want them to be motivated to introspect themselves, to bring out the best they have. Cycle on Sunday, yes, a good approach. Thank you so much. It was really so nice, so lovely, so lively. Speaking from your heart, would like to listen to you as many times as possible. Now coming to Dr. Usha, very professional approach, making use of trying to share all that professional treasures she has, all that sweets she had earned throughout her life to be shared by all of us. The very first question was, I think, a bullet to Dr. D.S. Mishra and Mr. Pradeep Kapoorji. Are we really considering gender aspect in planning? But the solution she herself came up with. But this is really a question. First of all, we have to decide what set of expectations we are having. Secondly, what we are expecting is very subjective to individual, or is it for community? Is it for making the system inclusive? That's why I said, just taking Ms. Meena's part, we should make our scale for evaluation of ourselves. Don't use scale which somebody else has made for different evaluations. So I think Dr. D.S. Mishra and Mr. Pradeep Kapoor, sir, what shot she started with, finally she came up with very comfortable sets of thoughts and not exactly proposals, but point which can be pondered through and could be considered at different levels differently. Moving very fast through it, we have not considered the gender inequalities or gender I call it gender equalities at different levels seriously. That is it. We have been doing it, but what we have been doing is not making a substantial presence in the whole one. I will not say it's a small stone in ocean, definitely much higher than it, but requires much more to be done at times. Gender at constitutional level, definitely this is the word, and being used within a legal context at different platforms, international platforms, national platforms, everywhere. We will have much of debate on what is gender inequality. So I prefer calling it gender equality, not gender inequality. I prefer calling it gender neutral discussion rather than getting biased to one and creating biased one or disbalance on the other side, or creating a gap because of one. This is a solution to one problem, should not create another problem therein. Then SDGs, very well considered. Then safety activities, different activities, economic, social. All these terms are more visible in the lower income group society or the marginalized group. This is what her observation is. So this gives another angle to the decision makers, that the segmentation of society has different gender specific requirements, and that if could be universalized, that is good, or else it should be taken as a on ground reality basis. There are lots of students taking up, yes, I can echo this, I can second this, being a teacher in an academic institute. Yes, we have lots of students. I will not comment on that, they are doing good. All students are doing good, but we are having lots of students. So this, a generation which is in line, which is coming, and the generation which is even of young professionals is there full of balances between both the sexes there. In empowerment, she again stressed upon, as what Miss Brina has to say there. It's the main pillar of development, inclusive development without any distinctions. Referring to national transport policy, the safety for women has been included in, she has pointed out this one, that's a good part of it, because transportation has come up, or the transportation system has come up as one of the point of concern during discussions. There is no distinct consideration of genders in, or gender specific consideration in plans. But with her reference to URDFI guidelines, she has introduced that there are few gender sensitive tools which are already available, should be taken into consideration. Now, there are certain disconnects which she has referred to, should be considered thereby through decision makers, as well as preparation of master plans. Few very, very good contextual and nice suggestions which she has come up. The very first was to make safe city through livelihoods, and other options she has come up. Second was safe public transport, referring to even the cycle track and the pedestrian pathways. Both of these experts, speakers, they have stressed upon it. I think that that has some valid point to be considered and appropriately considered in this planning process. There should be plans, there should be provisions for restrooms, breastfeeding spaces, ramps. So good. Public spaces should be well lit and there should be accessibilities to it. SDGs with affordable housing was one of the statements she has come up to take care to mitigate these issues which are referred by her or speakers or other ways existing in the system there. In capacity building, yes, definitely an aspect which needs to be taken care of. This is how we can empower. This is how we can enhance the skills through the potentialities of the growing up generations. Enabling institutions, providing spaces for institutions, and finally, safety and security for all. I'll just try to wind up with few very good statements which Ms. Reena has come up while answering to a few questions raised by different participants. Law is open to all, so everybody should use it appropriately. Society to respect strength in everybody. So we should exercise our legal rights. I'm the one who will always suggest that don't get into a situation where you have to make use of certain litigations, but still you have rights. Along with rights, you have responsibilities also. Please keep balance between these two. Let's start journey. So just by winding up, I just have to say, let's have a unified, empowered society with gender neutrality. Road is there. Directions are shown. Let's walk on it. A big thanks to all the speakers as well as the facilitators, Dr. D.S. Meshram, Mr. Pradeep Kapoorji, Dr. Jagdish Singh, as being part of a complete team. I'll just mention one quote by Emma Watson. It's time that we all should see gender as a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideas. I'll just wind up leaving you with two frames of two very inspirational frames. Let me share my screen. Is my screen in front of you? I think everybody is able to see my screen.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just everybody to watch this, get inspired with this, and love these two frames. Usually what it comes as.
Excuse me, ma'am, can you just put your slide in the slide?
I have not started my slides. I'll come to it. It's a treasure. I'll just open it the moment I want to open it. These slides are just because we pull ourselves back. Usually because considering I'm not educated, I'm from a very humble background. I'm a woman. Is it so? No, it is not. Just see these two wonderful ladies. I hope. Yes, my full screen is there.
Yes.
The one at the top, everybody will feel jealous of these two ladies coming from such a humble background, doing it tirelessly, not looking for that they're achieving something, a satisfaction, a help that they can extend to. I'll just have all adjectives, all titles, all appreciations for these two ladies. This is first Kamla Pujara, the one with organic farming, traditional farming, Padma Shri Kamla Pujara. Second one, Padma Shri Salumardara Thimaka. Very sorry if I'm not able to pronounce it so nicely. But I'm very honest, appreciations, gratitudes, and sir jhuka ke salam to these two wonderful ladies. President of India is also so blessed just with blessings of her. So let these two frames stay with you till end of your life. Anything, everything is possible. Let's enjoy womanhood and humanhood. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for the concluding remark and beautifully summing up all the events which we had in past few minutes. The end of the story is the new beginning for many others. So I take this opportunity to introduce Shri Pradeep Kapoor, sir. He started his career as assistant town planner in government of Rajasthan and was associated with various organizations in the Rajasthan state and worked at various posts. And he has an experience of more than 36 years. He has participated in multiple national and international conferences. And he is Secretary General for ITPI for more than 12 years. So I would like to request a formal vote of thanks to Shri Pradeep Kapoor, sir, Secretary General, ITPI New Delhi.
Thank you, Sarika. I think we are already delayed by more than 45 minutes. So formally, this is my duty to extend thanks to all the guests of the day. But before that, I have noted down 3 messages from this webinar. First one is for women. Cooperate with each other to build confidence. For men, change your mindset. And for both of men and women, acceptance of women empowerment. These 3 takes we are getting from this webinar, and formally I extend my thanks on behalf of ITPI, Dr. Usha Mahavir, Chairperson, Women Forum of ITPI, Ms. Reena Singh for wonderful chat with us, Dr. N. Usha, she touched almost all the aspects expected from her in achieving the gender equality in planning. Dr. Alka Bharat for nice captions at the end of your concluding remarks. I think everyone should remember that. And wonderful managing by Dr. Sarika Bhadre. And lastly, Dr. D.S. Meshram, the spirit behind organizing this webinar. So my sincere thanks to all of you, and I hope this was a wonderful evening listening to the learned women of planning fraternity as well as from a common citizen who is an authority in her discipline, and we look forward for more such interaction with you. Thanks to all the participants for patient hearing, though we have short up the time, but still you are there. So thank you very much to all of you. With this, we conclude this today's wonderful webinar on the eve of International Women's Day, which has been given by United Nations, and we should not stop here. This is the beginning of realizing the women empowerment. Thank you to all of you, and good night. Shabak hai.
Thank you.
Thanks. And
Thanks.
take care.
Thank you, sir.
So nice.